Today, we explore the therapeutic benefits of creativity.
Everything is creative. Play is creative.
The Calgary International Film Festival gets the popcorn ready.
And get to know their Alberta filmmakers and what kind of stories are being told here.
We meet the creator of Calgary's first ever Afro-Canadian sitcom.
So it's all about getting to know who we really are. Smell the coffee.
And a cultural event that bridges community.
Reconciliation is going to now involve reconciliation.
All this and more on Living a Creative Life. I'm Adora Nwofor, and welcome to Living a Creative Life. Join me as we showcase engaging Calgarians who inspire us through their passionate and artistic pursuits. Taking a look at the socials, Bend the River Studio highlights a dog named Walter in watercolor and ink, and Brittany Tuff posts all the hats, calling it their favorite painting to date. Pieces of a photographic print make for a deconstructed fence from Square Parts Arts. Why is the process of creating art more important than the final piece? Artist and instructor Thelia Foster enlightens us on the healing powers of intentional creativity.
I was always an artist. When I was connecting with other artists online, a lot of them were painters. Along the way, I thought, okay, it's frivolous, but I'll just do it for myself. So I started re-exploring painting. Then I found intentional creativity, which was started by Shiloh Sophia in California. And what it is a group of over 10,000 women engaged in painting, but with a purpose. I was teaching with the Cerebral Palsy Association, and I saw some wonderful things while I was there.
So how did you decide that you were going to now start teaching those classes?
The only way. I loved it. Again, it was the joy, the escapism that, came over my clients' faces. And I just saw it as another form of a healing modality. I tend to focus on women's issues, but there are other teachers all over the world that may use it for children and like that, yeah. Whatever it may be.
What does expressing yourself through creativity mean to you?
Everything is creative. Play is creative. If you're sipping through a straw, you remember when you were a child and you had a straw and you would blow bubbles and just keep blowing those bubbles? Yes. They're growing or they're diminishing, and you're experimenting, you're actually learning. And that's what creativity is to me. You learn all the while, as long as you're not focusing on making a masterpiece and you're just going on the journey, just like a good vacation. Sometimes it's not about the destination, it's about getting there.
As the largest film festival in the province approaches, let's get the lowdown from a SIFF organizer who also has a film premiering this year.
Going to the Chapel is about a polyamorous throuple who they're newlyweds, and they've moved to a small town, and they find themselves haunted by a priest. It's a horror film, it's a satire, it's a 16-minute oneer. So the entire thing is filmed in one shot, and we filmed it in the winter, in November, when we had this huge blizzard, and it was a bit of a nightmare, but it was a ton of fun. So yeah, going to the Chapel came from just getting more queer content in the world that it's not even addressed overtly, like people are just being who they are. But I really love horror films, and so there's not a lot of queer horror cinema out there, so I wanted to create something in that vein. And for this polyamorous throuple, the worst thing that they could do is come face to face with a very traditional minister who are sort of the gatekeepers of marriage and really embedded in our thoughts about marriage and how marriage works in our society right now. So it's just kind of bringing these things to the surface, all sort of tied within a horror film. Film was just a passion, and I had always imagined it would be amazing to have a film in the festival, and that was the whole goal. So the fact that I was able to get one accepted was even better. I'm the production manager at SIF, the Calgary International Film Festival. So we've been running for over 20 years. I think we're going into our 22nd this year.
When does SIF happen? Is it like online?
So the festival runs 11 days, September 23rd to October 3rd. So you can find the festival online at sifcalgary.ca. Yeah, for SIF, I think one of the biggest things about running the festival is that it's just a piece of the puzzle for a creative community and having a creative life in Calgary. The SIF allows people that are outside the film world, if you're not creating films, to be a part of that world and get to see Alberta films, tons of Alberta films, and get to know their Alberta filmmakers and what kind of stories are being told here. So I think it really is about creating connection and deepening the lives of the community here in Calgary.
Quenching his thirst for more African representation in front of the camera and behind it. Enrique Amoji created Smell the Coffee, an exciting new sitcom with a refreshing Afro-Canadian perspective. So tell me a little bit about this project that you have just finished shooting.
Smell the Coffee is just my own contribution in the narrative, the Black narrative here in Calgary. I've been here in Calgary, Canada for about 5 years, and I realized that there was no Black sitcom. There was not one. Canada, with its great history, has had just 2 Black sitcoms in its entire history. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I embarked on this journey and got to know CADA. I applied for a grant and they were very gracious.
Because that's what's going to help you, because in terms of getting from your reaction to what's causing the reaction, right? So yeah, we need to get that. So from the smiling, normal, whatever, then to the shock, then we now reveal what is causing the shock.
That's why I want the way, my personality, the way I dress, the way I'm addressed to be.
What does Smell the Coffee? Is it in a coffee shop?
No, it's not. I wanted something that helped us understand ourselves as Africans, well, as people from Africa, first of all, and then for others to understand us as well, all right? So it's all about getting to know who we really are. Smell the coffee, and for shattering Black stereotypes, right?
Right.
So the whole idea of this series is just about truth, telling our truth with comedy.
Sometimes I feel like neither.
One thing I'd like to also commend, apart from the crew, shout out to Sylvester and his team, you're awesome.
Hi, my name is Stella Ben. I work with Simba Creative as a production coordinator and as a video editor and videographer as well.
First AC, tell me a little bit about that experience.
It was awesome. It was really great. But for me personally, I see every experience that comes to me as a learning experience. I see it as an opportunity to learn. So it was more like me learning new things about filmmaking. It was really awesome, and I learned more about camera and framing and how actors come into the shot and all of that. It was great.
I want to know what being creative means to you.
It's a very satisfying experience when you create and then you manifest. So it's very satisfying, especially when you have the right people working with you. Respect the process, respect your environment, be grateful, and then be ready. So when the opportunity comes, you are ready.
Fly fishing is more than just a sport. It's also very creative. Fly tie guy Brian Warrington is going to teach me how to tie my own fly. So tell me about this fly tying. How did you get into that?
How did I get into it? I've always been a long-term fisherman. Loved to fish from an early age. And then it had been recommended to me, the fly tying, but it looked quite complicated and possibly even expensive. I bought some gear and I went out a few times by myself and didn't have any luck. So I hired a guide for the day and finally caught a fish, and I've been hooked ever since.
Wow.
And occasionally I teach it to other people and to youth.
Showing some love to the community.
Showing some love to the community right here in Bridgeland. So I thought we've got the plaza, we've got the venue to do it, so I want to give a try. So right here in this plaza with a sign, I had a few people show up the first time and then about 20 people show up the next time.
Wow.
And I love what I do.
Here, what is this thing?
This is a vise specifically engineered, designed for fly tying. First thing we're going to do is just have a feel of that. Adora, feel it?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's your metal hook, and it's a larger hook than generally what I would use, but because you're a beginner, you're getting used to it.
Thank you.
We're going to use something a little bit bigger to help us along. Okay?
Right, okay.
So the first thing we want to do is get out literally just our thread.
Okay.
And what we want to do is we want to build a layer on top of that hook. I'm going to tie that around like that. I'm going to take it all the way to the neck, the safe end.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm building up a base, and this base allows the gear that we put on it, all the feathers, it allows it to stay on the hook. Clarity, you've done this before.
No,
I could swear you've done this before. So what I'm going to do to get a good purchase on this, I'm going to tap just a tiny bit of glue there.
Okay.
And if not, it'll just come unraveled, right? So we want to get a tiny bit of glue. This is okay. I promise.
I
know this glue. Don't sniff it, and it smells awful. It just smells awful.
I did get a little whiff,
Okay.
and it's not
Yeah.
the best thing I've ever smelled.
Now we get a little bit of. We're gonna go pretty in pink.
Okay.
How about you do pretty in pink, and I'll be pretty in orange.
All
How's
right.
that?
All right. Sounds good.
That is a bigger beetle than what I would normally use, but we're learning. But it's a well-tied fly. We've got the body of the beetle. Adora, I hate to admit it, but for a first-timer, you not only have beginner's luck, you've got beginner skill.
I've learned so much today.
I'm pleased to hear that.
What I want to know is, what has fly tying and this type of creativity brought to your life or the community?
Where I really get the joy out of it is simply bringing it to other people. Because then that forces me to look up at things, that forces me to practice it. People are always asking questions, sometimes to look things up. And again, there's just so much to learn, and there are hundreds of flies to learn how to tie.
To draw closer relations between the community of Lake Bonavista and the Tsuut'ina Nation, a special event aims to counter discrimination through cultural exposure and the act of sharing.
Well, this is a part of our community engagement with Lake Bonavista and the Tsuut'ina Nation. Just an opportunity to share culture and history, stories, dance, song, ceremony as part of an exchange of awareness. Well, I'd like to say thank you to Lake Bonavista, Renee Price. She was the one that really was passionate about this event, and she wants to see Indigenous nations successful in business entrepreneurship.
SOAR is a community event. We wanted to raise awareness. We wanted to create more education about Indigenous people. One of our primary objectives is to build relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people.
It's awareness for both communities, both nations. Not only are we going to offer dance, traditional dance and song demonstrations, games, crafts, but we're also going to have a neighborly game of dodgeball. We're going to have physical sports activities in a neighborly fashion.
Honestly, it's a real honor to have people with this wealth of knowledge and that are just so friendly and open and have been just wonderful with involving my children in it and helping pass on that knowledge to them and making them feel really comfortable if they have any questions, just to really engage them in the process. It's really important to me that my kids understand the history of our land and the people who were first here.
Well, 20 years ago, Indigenous issues were non-existent in the public. And as we have evolved with the UNDRIP of United Nations, the calls for 94 actions of reconciliation by the government, and the finding of the children at the residential schools really put us under a microscope in a world view. And because we have so much attention towards this historical trauma, government is really emphasizing, we need to do something to better relations and to reconcile. So reconciliation is going to now involve reconciliation. While I certainly hope that we can have a strong future for the children together, because Creator does not differentiate in spirit world race or language barrier. He gives us that example 24/7 constantly, and it's right in front of our eyes. Our shadows are the same color. Every person on this earth has the same color shadow.
If you have a project, story, or example of living creatively, please share to submissions@calgaryartsdevelopment.com or with the hashtag YYCLCL. See you next time on Living a Creative Life.